Hello everyone, and welcome to a new series that I'm starting. It's a building series because I don't think I'm very good at building, and I definitely want to get better as I'm starting to make more YouTube videos and join more worlds, be in more SMPs. I want to be able to feel confident in my building skills. At the very least, I don't want them to look bad. So I decided to start a series where I work on that, where I get better at building. So I compiled a list of 100 different ideas, some inspired by other content creators, some just, things like a normal house. And I have different ways that I will be picking the numbers. For this first one, I wanted to start with one that I was very passionate about. For the next one, I had one of my friends give me a number. I might use a random number generator. If someone wants to comment a number, I'll use that. But I'm just gonna go through these randomly and build and just make something that I'm proud of. This first build is going to be, honestly, it's a piece of fan art. There is a D&D series called -1 Charisma that streams on Twitch that is one of my favorite D&D series to watch. I absolutely adore the community, the people there. They mean the absolute world to me, and one of my favorite ways to express my appreciation and my love for people is to make them things. To kind of that's my way of showing, by putting this time and this effort into this build, I'm giving you my time and my effort, honestly, and so that's one of the ways that I show my appreciation. So that's what this is there's a particular scene that stuck with me, and the party is on a boat, and on the sides of the boat and the back of the boat there are murals that I will explain as we get to them, and then there's a scene happening on the deck, and for one of the characters it's a very impactful scene, and it kind of stuck with me. And I decided that for my first build series, I wanted to build that boat. I wanted to not only make a boat, which I had never done before, never even considered doing before, but to also work on the murals, to try and create these big murals that are on the side of the boat with pixels, essentially doing very limited pixel art. And so that's what I set out to do. So the first thing I did was I asked them to tell me what kind of boat it was, and I, for the life of me, can't remember and didn't write it down after I used it. So I don't have that information for you. The next thing I did was I double-checked the murals, what exactly they were, and then I got started. I started off with the base. Okay, should be super simple, right? No, because I changed my mind several times, and then getting the shape down, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to doing these shapes, to doing these, I don't know, a boat. I've been on 3 boats in my life, and those boats were nothing like these boats. Absolutely nothing like these boats. So I had no idea what I was doing. I was just, honestly, I was placing blocks and looking at a reference photo and going, I hope this works. But by the time that I finished the shell, I actually started to become really happy with it, which is good. So ultimately, turned out just fine. But during the process, I was literally panicking the entire time. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if this is gonna look good. I was questioning doing this series, and then I went, no. This is why I'm doing this series, so that I can feel better about this, so that I can make a boat. I actually, after this, I feel like, at the very least, I could make the shape of a boat, and people would understand what I was doing. So, progress. Once the shell was done, I needed to get started on some detail, and so I went, what is the most stereotypical ship thing that I could think of? And it was that, I don't know what it's called, but it's that thing that has the grates sometimes that goes into the inside of the ship. So I got myself some trapdoors and I built it. I had done a 2-middle ship, and so I built it for that, and then I did the cool little trapdoor trick that you can do with ladders, which was really fun. Because I think it looks really cool. I think it's a fun little way to get inside the ship that doesn't take up a bunch of space, and it doesn't look bulky within the ship. I then began work on, honestly, I don't know what this thing is called, but it's like the little thing that sticks out that the sail connects to. And during the process of this, I was looking at it and I was like, ooh, I don't know if this 2 middle is gonna work for what I need. So I built it a bit, I looked at it, and then I decided that I needed a single wide, so my only solution was to either shrink the ship by 1 wide or widen it by 1. So I decided to widen it by 1. Once I had everything fixed, it was time to get back into it. I started working on sail stuff beforehand, so it was time to work on it again. I grabbed a fence and I tried to figure out where I wanted to place it, and after deciding, I built a nice little tower up, and I began trying to figure out what I wanted to use for the sails. I had that in place, I picked my blocks, and I decided to just get into it, which was all fine and dandy. I had a lot of fun. Figuring out the shape was a little bit difficult for me. I struggled a little bit, but I was very happy with what I settled on. I started adding in some texture. I used some snow and then some quartz to kind of try and give it this 2 layers. Decide against the quartz, went with concrete instead, just to give it just a little, like the sails like in the wind a little bit. When I realized, when I stepped back, that it was facing the wrong way. So it was time to go in and redo it the other way. This time, before I got too far into building, I decided to make the outline first. Because I wanted to get a good angle that looked good and also went down and met the tip of whatever the thing is called that I made out of the black stone. So I played with the angle first, and then I got straight into, building up, and I started texturing actually immediately because I had the shape. It was a lot easier for me to go straight into the texturing instead of having to do it all first or do most of it first and then redo it. Then I went to the other side and I redid what I had. I didn't add texture to this one because I didn't want it to get too busy. And when I stepped back to look at it, I had a big smile on my face because I thought it looked really good, and I'm really proud of how the ship looks so far. Without a bunch of the details that pertain specifically to the D&D show, the ship looks really good. It looks like a ship. So part 1, super, super successful. The first mural on one of the sides is one of the characters, Pop, who's a little changeling, farting out rainbows, which I can't explain why that's so on brand, but it is absolutely and completely on brand and is one of the funniest thoughts that I ever had. So I didn't do any texturing initially, I just did the basic shape. I did Pop leaning over, farting out a rainbow. That's it. That is the amount, that is the extent of what I did for all of the murals initially. Is I just did the very basic pixel arts of it with the colors that I wanted, with the shape that I wanted, so that when I was ready to then focus on the texturing and making sure that it looked exactly how I wanted it to, I could. One of the things that I thought was really tricky with this is the ship is not flat. It wasn't like I was making a mural flat against anything, it was moving with it, and so I really wasn't sure if it was going to turn out well, if it was going to look good with it following the shape of the ship, but I'm actually kind of happy with how it turned out. The second mural was of the party's rogue, Cornelia, who wears all black, and the idea was she was running away with a bag of gold that had a hole in it, so some of the gold was falling out as she was running. This one I also found really tricky because how do I give her a black bag while she's supposed to be wearing black? So I decided for her outfit to end up going with a dark gray, which isn't perfect, but I'm happy with how it looks. And once I get the detailing on, I think it looks a bit better. So yeah, I'm happy with it. The last mural is of Kelwise, who, honestly, I'm just going to read you the details that were written down for me. Quote, "On the very back of the boat, we had Kelwise laying on his side in a sexy pose, his chest hair presented in all its glory," which is the exact opposite of how I think of Kelwise. So I think that was really funny, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I attempted to do it in the style of, like, the paint me like one of your French girls. Now for details. So for Kelwise, I really didn't know how to do, like, chest hair showing, so I decided to throw on some vines and have it be, like, lacy. For Pup, for the ears, I threw on some dead coral because I thought that that looked like gray ears because that's what Pup has. I threw them on, I took a peek, decided I didn't like the one in the front, but I still like the one on the side. So we have one of Pup's ears. Then I was looking at it and I realized that I didn't put Pup's clothes on. I just had a naked Pup out there and that just couldn't do. So I got the colors that I needed and I put on Pup's jacket because I couldn't remember for sure, but I was pretty sure that Pup doesn't wear pants. So we just did the jacket and it looks kind of cute. It's starting to actually look like Pup. I tried a chain first for a tail and then I didn't like that, so I went with stone wall. I threw a button on for the eye, and then for Cornelia I just threw on a little bit of extra gold, and I was very happy with the way that the murals turned out. Now to move to the next part of the ship. I decided that I really need a captain's quarters, so I built up the sides just a little bit, put a little floor on it before I put on the walls, and then I realized that the little thing that I made to go down into the ship was not placed well. So I ended up having to move it. Back into the captain's quarters, I decided to give the captain a cute little desk for right as they are to enter. So I did a cute little thing with the stairs so that it looks like an actual little desk, and I'm very proud of it. Then he got a cute little chair and a little lectern with a book to put all of his writings in. I then realized that we didn't have a way to steer this ship yet. So I grabbed some stuff. I started playing with a couple ideas that I had before realizing that the best bet was to just throw an item frame with little sunflower in it for the wheel. I went back into the captain's quarters and gave him a window before heading down inside the ship to place some barrels around for everything that our party's gotten, all of the little goodies and that sort of thing that the party has received or that they're transporting, whatever. We need our storage. After that, I threw a little bit of gold in the corner because I figured the party had to have some of their extra gold on board with them. Who would they be without their gold? And then I went on over and started trying to figure out where I was going to place the beds and how they were going to work, because on a ship, most of the time, aren't they like little hammocks? At least that's what I've seen in the movies, and so I made some of those to throw the beds on for our party members. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I forgot to put a bed in the captain's quarters, so I ran back up real quick and threw one in there before I went back down and chose colors specific for each of the characters. I also realized that there was a better way to place these beds so that they looked really cool, and it was to place them under, instead of on top of little slabs, place them under it so it looked like theirs attached. After adding on a few more details, it's time to show y'all the finished product. So, approaching the ship, we get to see Pup, and Pup looks absolutely amazing. Then we come over and we can see these cute little spruce trapdoors that I put on. I put on a couple safety boats, and we can see the scene that I played out. There's a scene where one of the characters has a ghost sister who's out on the deck one time late at night, just talking with, I think it was Trust. It's been a hot sec, but the point is she was talking with someone. And just around a corner, listening in, was Rezik, her brother, listening to them having a good time together. And it was a moment where he was really, really happy to see her, or to hear her, I should say, laughing and having a good time with people, because as a ghost, she could only really talk to him for the longest time. So I put him in the captain's quarters with this cute little angle that we could do. And then we have our little lanterns in the captain's quarters. This little area here. I meant to throw some barrels there, but that's you know what? We're gonna do that now. Just, you know, a couple little barrels. Yeah, for storage. We have our cute chair with our lectern and book that has nothing in it because we have our bed, and then if we go over and down here, we can get to the first section. We have storage units for all of our party members, and then beds for each of them. Cornelia's purple, Pop is pink because it's for the players more than the characters, and those two are next to each other because Pop and Cornelia scheming would be the funniest thing. We have, I don't remember the other colors. Whoops! But we have the rest of them, you know, hanging about. Gold, barrels. We have a little mini portable poop tree, so this makes zero sense unless you watch me, because honestly, for the show, a poop tree is really, really special, really, really important. It has to do with Pop. Pop grew up like out in the wilderness, and like poop trees are like, it's where you go to take your poops. It's special. We have two little cells here in the basement for in case they capture anybody. Each has a bed, a sink or a toilet, you choose which, a little light, and then a way to get them in and out. And last but not least, up at the very top that you have to be Pop to be able to climb to, we have a little perk up here that has a spyglass so Pop can watch out. Pop is like the only one that comes up here in the crow's nest, and I'm super, super happy with it. Made a little trapdoor as if you could climb up. Overall, I'm really, really happy with how the ship turned out. I'm so proud of all of the work that I put into it, and for my first build, I think this is really good. It's by no means perfect, but it looks really cool. It's done what I want it to, and I've put a lot of love and effort and time into this, and I'm happy with where it's at, and I'm happy with saying that I'm done with it. I'm very proud of it. So thank you so, so much for joining me. If you liked this, please drop a like, please drop a follow. I'm going to be doing more of these. The next one, I already have it picked out. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't really even started it yet. I've looked at it. I've picked an area to do it in, but I haven't done it yet. But I really, really, really enjoyed this. I had so much fun with this, and I simply cannot wait to continue this series, to continue building new things and trying new things, whether it be palettes, specific scenes, things inspired by other people's builds, things inspired by people. I have 100 ideas, like I said, and we've just done one of them so far. So thank you so, so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!